So friends, you know just from the title how excited I am to get into this video. Top 5 Fude for 2024. Thank you Enamored Beauty, also known as Sunsarae, for arranging this beautiful collab. When she had asked me to join, I could not say no. And not only do we have Sunsarae heading the Fude brigade, we have 13 members in all, including myself, participating in this collab. So as the videos come out, I'll make sure to add those to the playlist down below so you can watch all of them, be it an Instagram post, reel, or a dedicated YouTube video. Make sure you visit everyone's top 5 Fude. I had to be cutthroat about this because picking my favorite Fude brushes out of the entire year. Hello? Because instinctively, it's like when I present something as a top 5 or a part of a top 5 list, it invalidates all my other brushes, and that is not so. This is like creme de la creme. S tier, God tier picks that were tough. It was tough. That's why I had to be cutthroat about it, because I would just spend days and days deliberating which brush should I choose for this top 5 Fude list. But what I wanted to do today, because I love to get into the demos, but I also hate editing B-roll, I will present my top 5 and use them as I babble on about each. But not to worry, there will be timestamps down below. So if you wanted to skip over to a particular brush and just see that demo instead of hear me just chat for the entire video, then you have that option. But I wanted to do so in order to present why I love the brush that I do, the ones that I picked, so you could also see them in action. But I also have dedicated videos with close-ups, with separate b-roll for these brushes. If you wanted to check those videos out, I'll make sure to have that playlist linked above and also down below in the description box. But let's get to it. Top 5 Fude brushes for 2024, which means it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. House pin is going in. I know these brows look atrocious. We'll address them in a minute. I had a hard time because I wanted to make a comprehensive of a list as possible, in that it includes brushes from face, from cheek, and the eye category with different bristle types and tasks and roles. And I don't have any foundation on. And this brush is not a part of the Fude list, but I did tell the group I'm going to be mentioning some honorables, okay? This is how I'm going to sneak in my other favorites that are not officially on the top 5, because I'm just like that. Sorry! This isn't on the top 5 Fude list because this brush is not made in Japan. It is made in China, which is fine because the craftsmanship is amazing for this brush, and the materials used, one of the higher end and more technologically advanced type of synthetic fiber that has been developed over the last few years for synthetic brushes. But I just have to mention it because I think it is one of the more phenomenal synthetic foundation brushes that I have used this year. And yes, it was sent to me in PR. I have a video outlining the entire Rephr LC collection, standing for liquid cream. Again, this is not a Japanese made brush, but I thought it was noteworthy to mention because of the fact that it's dense, but it has really beautiful splay, and it just feels pliable on the skin and makes it a joy to use, or rather to blend my foundation with. And I just wanted to quickly take it for a ride around my face so you could see it in action. Again, you could go to the original LC collection video that I filmed. But to quickly compare it to Sonia's Jumbo Base, the LC brush just has a little more flexibility to it, which I think for a unique experience, given again the density and size of the brush. We've seen these slant designs before, but what I like is how the bristles bend and groove on the skin when applying foundation. And based off the design, I would understand how one would intuitively want to push their foundation into the skin. But given the flexibility of the bristles, I could easily take it for a swirl and twirl, whereas a denser brush like the recently released BK Beauty 116, or again Sonia's a jumbo base, is not as flexible and more ideal to punch in. But you see how the bristles bend and just have a little more flexibility here, which is what I have been enjoying, gravitating towards this foundation brush more so than my others. even though I like the others as well. Like I'd mentioned, 116 is great. I have a video describing, or rather gushing over 116, the entire set, because unfortunately for the new core collection from BK Beauty, it is only available as a set. And the team had said that next year, I don't know when, the core collection will be sold as individuals. So we'll just keep a lookout for that. But look how that just, okay, enough said, okay, enough said. Now for concealer, again, this brush is not made in Japan, but I have to give it up to the ESUM V29, the newly designed V29, as ESUM has designed or redesigned several of their brushes this year. And thank you to ESUM for sending me this gem. I adore this concealer brush because it's actually, yes, we've seen this size before, but I actually like the more pronounced slant here. It just makes for quick blending under the eyes without spending much time here, but it also is precise at the same time. And why I have been thoroughly enjoying this brush and reaching for it to apply and blend my concealer with, because the Angie Hot and Flashy A506, I believe, has a lot of splay as well, but I like how the splay here is more moderate. I don't know why. I just find with using several brushes with a similar design, I tend to reach for the V29 more. This is all synthetic. I believe it's Taklon. I'm not entirely sure of the bristle. My apologies. But I enjoy running this brush after I blended out my concealer, running it over smaller portions of my face. And if I needed to address more coverage, I could go in with this brush. I'm just going in with a little bit of Danessa Serum Skin, Yummy Skin Serum, Skin Tint, so many words, over portions that need more coverage, and this brush delivers that purpose beautifully. And before we go on, let's put on some brows. I'll be right back. We're back with brows. Heading into the top 5 now. We have begun. That was like a slow lead in. Yes, I know. Here is the thing. I had a hard time choosing these brushes, but I'll begin with this one. It is the Bobo Do X Chikuhodo Owl collab with Squirrel and Tuckahoe goat hair mix. Thank you to Bobo for sending me this brush. This was in the first PR package Bobo sent me, and when I saw this brush for the first time, I gasped. I couldn't believe how beautifully crafted it is, and just to have a brush head of this size with both Squirrel and Tuckahoe goat hair was unlike anything I had in my collection. I have huge brushes with just squirrel hair, right? So I understand that sits on the higher end of the tier list when it comes to brush quality, but I find this has more utility because of the squirrel hair and goat hair mix, where it's a little more resilient given that combination. After applying our foundation concoction, I easily can go in with a loose powder just to lightly set around. Actually, should I use my Dior? Hold on. I haven't used this powder in a long time, but I think this is a fitting pair because the goat hair will pick up enough powder to lay on my skin. And this color in 3N, which I would consider from the Dior Beauty lineup, 3N is pretty much my match for not only the pressed powder, but for the star filter, and I assume the foundation stick, which I do not have. I might buy in the new year, but I don't know because of the fragrance. I tried a little bit and I was like, whoa, that's pretty strong. Maybe I'll get used to it. You know what I mean? But look how the brush moves on the skin. It's not so flexible where you don't feel that point of contact and you don't feel the makeup move and in an efficient way, which is what I adore about it. And the fact that it has this slant here makes it fantastic if you wanted to use this brush for a hazy serving of bronze powder, which I also love to do, but we got other brushes for that reason. And why don't I introduce the second? And I had a hard time with this because these brushes are interchangeable in terms of their task, right? Everything I just showed with the Bobo Do X Chikuhodo collab brush, I can easily do with Sonia's Traditions 1. I could not not have this brush on the list? Look at it. Thank you to Beautylish and Sonia for sending me this set when it first dropped this year. It is the Kakishibu Kiyaki Face Trio. We were introduced the eye set, I believe, earlier this year. And then when we got the face set, first of all, the Kakishibu dyed Tuckahoe goat hair bristles. Stop it right now. And the Kiyaki wood, this is an exceptional tool. And for all the tasks I showed with the owl brush, you most certainly can use for T1. Like, I can easily apply this powder, and because this is a little more stiffer, not to be confused with rough on the skin, this will leave more of a polished look behind when it comes to buffing versus the owl brush. You have a little more flexibility here, a little bit of flojo, if you will, where this will deliver a little more of concentration of color. And I can show you just that because I have my YSL bronzer on standby. And again, as I mentioned, I can easily use the owl brush to apply that bronzer, and it will have more of like that haze bronze effect around my face. But just to show, okay, this is what I'm talking about for T1. It easily just strikes the product where I need it to go through the hollows of my cheeks. And I think also a fantastic brush if you love to apply powder foundation. This will get it on the skin quick and fast, but also will pick up ample product if you like medium to high coverage from your powder foundation product. The T1 is going to get it on there, not only fast, but will leave behind a beautiful smooth blend and even finish on the skin. So if you're one to apply mineral foundation for powder foundation or dedicated powder foundation, ooh, you'll have no problem. Whereas this will, I think, deliver more of a light to medium coverage for powder foundation with the owl brush, which leads me to the second brush. I had to include this Koyudo, the Yoshiki collab with Bobo Do. And again, thank you to Bobo for sending this to me as well. All these are PR brushes, by the way. I'm so sorry. This is just how it is. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful to be in this position to receive PR, not just random PR, but beautiful artistic PR. This is blue fox hair. The first time I tried this brush, the first time I even heard of that bristle, and I had to include this one because, just as I mentioned with the T1, fantastic for efficient application of powder foundation. This brush right here could also be used for powder foundation application, but albeit a lot more concentrated. So if you like a heavier dose of coverage, this is the brush. And what's astounding about it, the fact that the bristles are incredibly silky, but they have such beautiful elasticity to them. It's a joy to have a brush with this type of bristle, but at this density, because look, I'm dipping into my bronzer powder again. This will naturally serve a little more precision, right? Compared to this side where you have more of a blown out diffused effect from that bronzer application using Sonia's T1 from the Blue Fox Hair Yoshiki brush. You have a little more precision here through the cheekbone. And what I like to rely on this brush for is to add a little more concentration of color, but it not appear muddy. This is where natural hairs just rule, because no matter how many products you apply on your face, no matter how many powder products for cheek, the end result is filtered, soft focus, and flawless. That's it. Because of how the natural tips of the bristles pick up product and how they naturally distribute the powder on the skin without disrupting your foundation application from underneath and it not appear muddied and just drab on your cheeks is phenomenal. And I can't help but just swim this brush across my skin, and it is a pleasure to use. The softness, the silkiness, but you also feel a strength about the brush, how you automatically will assume it leaves behind a higher concentration of color, even though it's blue fox hair. I think it does pick up a little more than squirrel hair from my experience, but again, this size is phenomenal because just as you saw, we can easily apply that bronzer powder in a precise fashion. Into the powder blush, I gotta hop into my Suku, okay? Ooh, do we have, well, that's a good question. What blush do I want to apply? Well, we could do the winter. We could do the winter, but I kind of want to do this one instead. Hold on. Applying the Holiday 24 Toru, or is another name on Selfridges. I can't recall. Number 104. Listen. The Yoshiki collab, if you have a lighter color blush like this one on my complexion, this will pick up a lot more. But you see, because of how the brush moves on the skin, it's able to diffuse that color on a wider surface area. Because if you see the size of the brush and you assume it's just going to leave behind like that pom-pom look on the cheeks, no. The brush will move the product to where you need it to go in a way that, despite the brush size, it will leave behind more of a blown out finish, which is what I wanted. But because this color is on the lighter side for my skin tone, this brush will pick up a little more because of the density, but it won't pick up so much that it would appear color heavy on the cheeks. This is okay. And also, this doesn't mean we can't use the other ones, right? So I could use my T1 to run over that application to take away excess product to ensure that everything looks seamless on the skin. Hello. Now, I don't have a dedicated synthetic brush to apply my highlighter with, so we'll just hop in quickly with the Byredo highlighter stick. I like to use my finger to lightly tap here on my cheekbones, as I feel that's enough for the highlight effect, because we already have our bronze and blush powder on the cheeks, and just to ensure that everything is smooth and ready to go. Now, I already showed 3 brushes. I'm telling you, this is just torture. For the last 2, I had to pick from the eyeshadow category, and the Bobo Do and Yoshiki collab eyeshadow brush with high grade Tuckahoe goat hair, and the Sunset Crane Sonia G collection. This one, the squirrel brush that looks like the T1. I know. The reason why I had to choose both was because I love an eye brush in this size, in this design, head shape, because to have squirrel hair, for the same reasons I gushed over, where'd she go? My Yoshiki blue fox hair. To have a brush at this density with a silky bristle like squirrel, I think is fantastic for one and done eye looks, which again, let me grab something. Let me grab some eyeshadow. We gotta go with YSL, but which YSL is the question? Well, we're looking pretty warm here on the cheeks, so I can go in with Over Orange from the Mini Clutch collection in 810, and I just want to throw on just this shade, and picking up with the Sunset Crane brush and seeing how that evenly distributes, because I could use one side of the brush to place the color on the lid, and then the tip of the brush will naturally just caress my crease in a way that will softly bring color through it easily, okay? And I could demonstrate that with the orange shade. You wanna go for it? Let's do it. So again, picking this up, first tapping the brush on the majority of my lid, and then see the flexibility of the squirrel. Look at it move, boom, 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 boom. And it's soft enough where if you don't want too much color on the lid, squirrel naturally will pick up less than goat, but will leave behind more of a watercolor effect and will appear more like watercolor on the eyes, right? So see how that just softens the finish of the shadow. And again, using this entire brush to just envelop my lid without it looking too over blended. Now I understand this brush might be a little large for under the eyes. This is where the Yoshiki collab brush comes in clutch, because see how flexible the edges are. I could just capture shadow here, and then look how that just slides effortlessly under my lash line. And I'll do just that. Well, first I'll do this. I'll pick up color here on the base of the brush, but because the tip fits right here where my outer lid is, it beautifully deposits color here, so it could give me a little bit of haze, but the flexibility of the tip allows me to carefully carry color through my crease without it being too blown out. And what I described before, here I'm picking up some color on the edge of the brush, which by the way, this comes in a smaller size, but because I was strapped to 5. Here we are, but I can still establish pretty nice application that doesn't appear too hazy under the lash line. And I can turn the brush on its side and whip that color easily here through the crease, and look at that. And if I wanted, I could wipe my Sunset Cream brush and use it to just soften the edges here of that application. I know, I can't take it either. Same thing here, taking the orange matte with the edge of the brush and just sliding it underneath my lash line, which I understand is looking quite hazy, I know. I'm quickly going in with Mother's Intensifies wand because I think it's necessary for the softer texture of the shimmer formula here found in the YSL Mini Clutch palette. And that is where we'll take our Yoshiki brush again, all over the entire brush, and now tapping that shimmer on the entire lid, and it just gets whatever shimmer on here fast, right? So you could also use this brush in a similar fashion like I demonstrated with the Sunset Cream brush for those one and done shadow moments that you need the brush to pick up ample product to be placed on the lid efficiently and quickly, but you also need the tip of the brush to then blend out the edges if you choose to use that same formula through the crease, or you pick up another. I'm just picking up a little bit of this terracotta with the Sunset Cream brush, softly placing it here through the crease just for a little more coloring, okay, and doing the same thing here to bring it out a bit, right? Because I do love a little bit of a swooping. Well, this doesn't look real swooping. It looks a little hazy, but it's okay. And I could also use the edge of the brush. Do I have another? I'm gonna take out my Suku Holiday Compact here, and just with the tip of the Yoshiki brush, just bringing a little bit of this highlight, which is like a yellow gold, to the inner corner. Now, this brush is quite large for this task. I would pick up something smaller, but for the sake of the demo and just, again, being tied to 5, I'll use the tip of the brush to place that eyeshadow on the inner corner of my eye, which is enough, right? We get the effect that we're trying to achieve. All right, now that we have everything on, let me apply some lashes, a lipstick, and I'll be right back. Oh, we made it, Fude family. Those are my top 5 Fude brush picks for 2024. As tough as it was to get through it, not this video, but to get through the deciding process, I'm happy with these picks. And to be honest, I could have picked other 5 and they would have been top 5. But I wanted to dial into my first experience with the brush, what I felt about it, and again, wanted to diversify my list from a bristle perspective, density perspective, brush size, of application category, eyes, face, cheeks. And again, going through my head quickly through my collection, I could have picked, this could have been like a top 20. Okay, which is easy, I know, but making it top 5 forced me to turn up the credentials, right? And really just bump up the thought process behind choosing these brushes. But I cannot wait to see the picks from our other Fude family members. Make sure you check those videos out. I'll make sure to link them again as they get uploaded. But let me know what your top 5 picks are for 2024. Yes, I am imposing the same demands on you, family. Or you could do 10, I don't mind. And again, although these brushes were all PR, I would have happily purchased them because they have played such a vital role in my collection, where I'm at a point, and this happened years ago where I first introduced Fude into my collection, where Fude brushes have made my makeup application experience just ethereal, where I am secure in whatever product I choose. And now that I've been well acquainted with my brush collection, just knowing what brush type pairs well with what makeup product, once you establish that harmony, you then establish an orchestra of tool and product to yield one of the most I mean, filtered, flawless, smooth finishes on face and eyes that you've ever experienced. And you know this. You know when you first use a Japanese made brush, especially with a higher quality grade hair, it's like there has been a blindfold on me this entire time. So I would love to know your Fude favorites down below, family. I cannot wait to see those lists. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching until the end, and thank you to Sunsarae for organizing this collab. I cannot wait to see the other picks. Make sure you click that thumbs up to like the video and consider subscribing, because who knows, I might be on here again and would just acquiesce and do a top 10 anyway, or would just talk about other favorites that I encountered throughout the year. But you would only know that upload if you subscribe and click that notification bell. So with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on here again next time.